Hey everybody, it's good to see you guys here. RSEC Union, nice to see you. Mark, nice to see you. Commentator Utter, nice to see you guys here as well. Uh, I had planned this last week. Uh, I don't know if my original panelists are going to be joining me tonight. If not, I would like to invite a few people up here with me. And this is something new for my channel I'm trying to do. As you can tell by the title of the stream, it is Let's Talk with Guests. And tonight's topic was going to be about horror films. Uh, what standings do they have in society? How they have changed? What are some people's favorites? Just something, and to discuss how they affect different communities. If you would like to come up, I will post a link in the chat for you guys to come up, and I can have up to 6 people, including myself. So I I wouldn't mind if some people came up so we can have a discussion about it. Uh, there is the link in chat if you guys would like to come up and join me and just get takes on this discussion and this topic. I I would love to hear your thoughts. Pat, nice to see you. So this originally started when I posed a question in AMG's Discord. Has anyone else besides myself seen the 1930 Universal Frankenstein? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome up a guest, the awesome, the wonderful Mandalorian Mando Mike.
Hi, hi, hi. Read the name properly.
Mando Buttfucker.
Damn straight. I'm a hard one to get rid of.
That is true. Uh, like I said, this is just to talk about the topic of horror movies and what it's done to society, how they evolved, what are some people's thoughts, favorites, and just to talk about even the evolution of them from what they were in the silent era to how they affect, you know, you know, the world in general.
Well, I don't know much about horror movies, but I did see the classics when I was in high school.
Even that's fine. This is just a topic, just something I know about, something I'm passionate about, but it's not going to be the only topic for this series. But like, I've seen a lot of the classics, and one of my personal favorites from the classics is The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
See, I gotta go with the more traditional ones like Frankenstein or Dracula.
I have seen them and owned them both, and I find those to be very good films, especially Frankenstein.
Well, it's like the writing back then was so much better, and I think part of that is because the attention span of people were so much different back then.
And the art style alone with it was phenomenal as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So like today, most of your movies run what about an hour and a half to two
About
hours?
90 minutes.
Yeah. Whereas back in that time period, you could go 2 to 3 hours and people were still entertained.
Oh yeah, and something that most people don't realize with Frankenstein was they hid Boris Karloff's name until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony A, hello, how are you doing tonight? Uh, you look at the classic Universal movies, oh, excuse me, guys, they were much more driven in literature based stories, such as, The Invisible Man, uh, Dracula, Frankenstein. But then you start getting into stuff like The Mummy and The Wolfman, which were based off myth and legend.
Yeah.
And then they started adapting operas, such as The Phantom of the Opera was actually originally a play that became an opera. And one of the most terrifying scenes is is a favorite of mine. At the end, Lon Chaney is being chased by the mob. He reaches under his cape like he's pulling out a bomb, and they all freak out. And then he pulls his hand out. He's got nothing, and he just laughs, like the OG troll. That's like the OG of trolling people. But Ando, you said you've seen some of the classics. Give me your take on some of them.
Oh man, it's been a long time since I've seen them. That's the only thing. Um, you know, like I said, the ones I saw were like Frankenstein, Dracula. I'm trying to think what else.
Abby, nice to see you. I'm going to post the link in chat again. If a couple other people want to come up and join us, the more the merrier.
Well, I want to address Tanya's comment there. The best Dracula is the one that doesn't fucking spark on the goddamn stream. Like, what was it? The
Twilight
Vampire and Wolf Boy?
Twilight.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it was.
There's a Twilight.
I'm sorry, but how can I be scared of somebody who's wearing fucking makeup and they have twinkle all over their fucking face?
Now, me personally, I would have to say Bela Lugosi was the best Dracula. But if you're
Well,
going to
the thing about Dracula, from what I've seen, is it's kind of like the character Joker. Every single player that's done it, or every single actor that's done it, has added their own twist to it. So it's kind of hard to really compare, you know?
that's true. I say Bela Lugosi was the best because he played him on the Broadway play before it was adapted into a movie, and he brought a whole new life to the character, but he didn't evolve the character like Christopher Lee did with the Hammer horror films.
Yeah.
Mark, would you like to come and join us? I mean, I would love to get your take on British horror and how it affected the U.S. and around the world.
Yeah, come on, Mark, you beautiful wanker. Get your ass up here. You and your spotted dick. And right now, he is sitting in his chair just chuckling at that, just so y'all know.
If you look at the classic Universal evolution of monsters, after Creature, we started getting more of the realm of science fiction, more the atomic age, where we started getting stuff like the kaiju movies, such as Godzilla, Rodan, or the giant animal movies.
Well, see, when it comes to horror, the kind of movies that I kind of like are, and I guess they're not really technically considered horror. I think they're more of like suspense movies. But I like ones uh, where it kind of does that mind fuck with you. You know, you're going down. You think you know what the creature is, or you think you know what the uh, what the issue is, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, it's completely reversed.
similar to Identity, right?
Yeah,
Where where you got that great twist ending at the end. Where you didn't
yeah,
know who was the actual killer, if it actually happened or not.
yeah, exactly. That. So like, I think my mom had called it a horror movie when I first called it, or when I first watched it. But I read the book and stuff. What was it? The Giver, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's like borderline of horror slash suspense because it messed with your mind. You thought you were going down one path, and then all of a sudden it just does a 180.
That that is one I haven't seen, but I've seen so many, and I've been getting back and going into the classic horror films, and the cult classics to be even more far out there because lately, when it comes to horror movies in the past, I want to say 10 to 12 years, they've all been either horrible remakes or they were trying to push an agenda.
Yeah, that's kind of almost all movies right now. Is they're all going through a complete remake, or they're going through, like you said, the agenda, or they're doing both. I mean, hell, look at the Ghostbusters that nobody will admit claim to.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and
All
gentlemen,
female crew, which was, I really didn't care if it was all female crew, but what killed me is the fact that they went so overboard with the promoting of it being an all female crew, and then every single one has some kind of what I call a check mark box done.
yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mark, the sarcastic law student, or Mark, it's not. Okay. It's a new one.
Yeah,
Mark,
I
the
thought
beautiful
I'd have a
wanker.
little fun with it.
Uh,
Amanda keeps saying that I have a voice that would turn women into butter, and that was I couldn't really fit. Can't believe it's not butter in there. Well, I could. I'll
Vlad,
try it. See.
Vlad the Impaler, welcome. Uh, but yeah, a lot of the movies have been coming out in the horror community have really been pushing the agenda of of social justice, but they're pushing it in a way which I feel it's not delivering their message right. Because that's something I actually did want to talk about.
Well, see that's the thing. Like, touching base on the whole agenda thing. It's I kind of got tired of, let's say, more modern horror around like the 2000s because I started seeing that almost everything was a remake or everything had to go beyond what I would consider horror. So, in my opinion, it's like extreme horror, like M Night Shyamalan,
M Night
Rubber Dick.
Shyamalan's.
Yeah, M Night Slong. He started out good. I like his earlier works, but then, in my opinion, he started going beyond the horror to like the mindfuck horror. And I just don't like that kind.
Let me ask you a question. Do y'all watch Week in Horror with J.L. Warren? No, I did not. Uh,
Now, you want to talk about some good horror? Go back to the '90s with the Goosebumps series.
that that was a surprisingly dark age for children horror shows. You had stuff like Goosebumps. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Are You Afraid of the Dark? There was
Ooh, I just remember one of the other classics I loved was The Little Shop of Horrors,
which one?
the original.
the original 1930s, or because it was done in the 30s, and then it was also done in the was it the 70s or 80s when they did the with Rick Moranis.
Did the one that where they redid it, was that still black and white?
No, it was colorized. It was had Steve Martin in it. It had Bill Murray.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the original because I always saw it, and I remember seeing it with black and white.
Okay, here's something that's going to blow your mind in that one.
It doesn't take much to blow my mind, man.
The scene with the patient and the dentist.
Yes.
Do you know who the patient was?
Oh fuck. I see the face. I can't think of the name though.
You ready for this? Jack
All right,
Nicholson.
oh hell, yeah.
That was Jack Nicholson who played the pain-seeking patient.
Yeah, you know what? I saw the face. I'm like, okay, I know it. And as soon as she said Jack, I'm like, fuck, yeah, I should have known that one.
A lot of
Here's Johnny.
But Mark, I would like to get your take on British horror and the British horror invasion to the U.S.
Yeah, we do pull off invasions quite well.
Except for the one in 1776, but that's one that's a totally different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't know. We'd
fault
already
that they,
invaded by that point. So.
Well, it's not their fault that we could shoot better and kick their asses. I mean, they had to, if they would stop having to stop every hour on the hour for fucking tea and biscuits.
Well, yeah, that has to be done. It's like mandatory.
Yeah,
Like,
it's,
even
it's
during
like,
battle,
Dude.
well, it's like a British Union rule or some shit. Would you like a lump of sugar in your tea? No, but I'll take some goat milk.
But
Jesus Christ.
back to the topic at hand here.
The best British horror I ever saw was the 1800s pictures of women smiling.
Yeah, that would horrify me, to be honest.
Abby, is that the one that just came out?
No, that's
Well, there's one that just came out, and I saw parts of it, and I really actually loved it because it looked fucking awesome. And once I lose the weight and get more to a normal person size, I want to do his armor.
I think you're thinking of Dracula Untold.
I don't know. There's one that just came out with like a huge fucking battle scene or some shit.
Dracula Untold. Because Dracula Dead and Loving It was a comedy with Leslie Nielsen, Mel Brooks.
Yeah, it is Dracula Untold because it's the red and black armor that I liked.
But
I think that would look awesome.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of the horror stuff, and like you said earlier, a lot of it has come up from novels, from myth, from hell, even from history, like Vlad the Impaler, aka Dracula.
Oh yeah, we've certainly got our fair share of myths and legends and all sorts of over here.
Yeah, fucking werewolves in London. What the hell?
But Mark, what in your eye was the cornerstone British horror film that made its weight in the U.S.?
Geez, now you're asking. I don't remember that many. I know we did a lot of horror films, like particularly back in like the 70s and what have you. What was the cornerstone one? I couldn't actually tell you.
Well, in your opinion,
I think the most noticeable horror film to ever come from the English was Mighty Python.
are you talking about
yeah.
the scene with the salmon foam?
I mean, probably the most notable ones that I remember are things like we had 28 Days Later, 28 weeks later. Was it weeks or?
It was 28 days for the first one, and then 28 weeks was the sequel.
Yeah, those are quite big when I was younger.
Those were actually
modern ones.
really good films, especially with. I love what they did to shoot that film. They used regular camcorders, and they used actors that weren't popular or known at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a real guerrilla style shooting.
Which one?
28 Days Later.
Oh yeah, that was a really good one.
Like some of the ones that I particularly like, the British ones, are like the comedy ones, like Shaun of the Dead type of thing.
Oh, Shaun of the Dead is a classic.
I love those guys. I think they're brilliant. Like Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite comedy movies. Full stop.
Technically, you can kind of classify it as a horror comedy if you think about it.
You're probably not wrong, to be honest. It has got the
It does have that suspense factor, the mystery factor of who's actually behind the cloak.
Mm-hmm. Very sort of very British.
You know what? I tell you what. If we're talking about horror comedies, you gotta go with the classics of scary movies.
1 and 2 are good.
I mean, just the fact that I think it was 1 or 2 that had the big-breasted blonde running through the fucking sprinklers.
That was 1.
Yeah.
It was Carmen Electra.
Then he goes to stab her and just freaking titty implant comes out. Like, what the hell?
That was Scary Movie 1, and that was Carmen Electra. And again, that's back when you had Kevin Wayne's writing it, and there were so many great jokes in there. Mm-hmm. And they played up on a lot of the whole stereotypes of horror, which I love.
Let's go our separate ways. Oh, hell no. You think I'm going to do that? I'm the black guy. I want to get killed first.
Just get some, like the girl said, we're just get some ignorant fool be on there, and then you had Marlon Wayans. If you had any words to give to her, what would you have said? Run, bitch, run!
That has to be one of the most iconic sort of movie quotes from the 90s. Like, just run, bitch, run! Everybody, even over here, still uses it today. So every time it's either run, Forrest, run, or run, bitch, run. One or the other. If anybody's like walking fast or anything like that.
Well, I tell you what, Mark, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what's going on. Oh shit! It exploded.
Something I love about older British horror films, the ones that came from Hammer Studio.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have to be the ones with Christopher Lee in them, because Christopher Lee is just he was the ultimate character of life, but he just made you feel like you weren't watching a movie, that you were there. And with a lot of the old Hammer films, they were like that, like Horror Express, Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter. You know, the Horrors of Frankenstein, which, in my opinion, were much more artistically done than anything done in the 90s or even the 2000s.
Oh yeah.
But I think we could all agree that, you know, there's been a lot of classics that's come out from the time frame of the 30s to now, but I think some of the best I would have to be from the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah. I think I remember watching a bit of the not all of it, but I remember watching a little bit of the Wicker Man from the 1970s. Yeah.
Classic film, a great mindfuck of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Remake not so much, just a mean factory.
Yeah.
Not the
The
bees!
bees, not the bees.
That's how you can always tell a great movie is by how many memes come out of it and how many times you can, like, quote shit from it. I mean, even if it's the most stupidest movie ever made, like let's say Austin Powers, y'all, it's still funny as shit. You can say just about any line from that movie, and everybody would know who it is.
Oh, yeah.
Basil, are you mad? He's a communist. Hey, comrades, eh? Austin, we've won the Cold War. It's over. Yay, especially. Yay, capitalism.
How do you like that, baby? Oh, lower. How do you like that, baby?
I used to have a message tone on my phone years ago. This is back before we had modern phones and we could just download it from YouTube and convert it. But,
Oh, you mean back in the day when you had to download it onto the computer, buy a program that would cut it down to 10 or 15 seconds and pray to God you did it right?
Yeah. You had to wait about 5 hours for it to bloody compile.
Oh, 5 hours. Shit, man. You had the high-tech stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there is something to be said with British comedy compared to U.S. comedy.
You got mail, baby. Yeah.
It's just, it's a whole different wavelength.
Now,
You know,
ladies, go back a few seconds, clip that, and you can make that your ringtone now.
Lord.
Or we should do the we should do the buttery mark one. You've got mail, baby. Yeah.
The NCR News Network is not responsible for anybody who falls in love with Mark's voice. This is every issue every time he comes on and says anything that's remotely charming.
And also remember, NCR News Network is not responsible for any psychological damage or bills that you may incur from listening to Mando Buttfucker. If you are easily offended, we may hand out trial size containers of KY jelly. If you're a premium subscriber, we'll give you some Astroglide.
But really, I prefer movies from the 70s and 80s, especially when it comes to comedy and horror, because they were just so much more funnier.
Hey, Mark, Abby's got it pegged down just for you, man.
Oh, my good Lord.
Again, the NCR News Network is not responsible for anything that may come from hearing Mark's buttery voice. We are not responsible for any dry cleaning or any furniture replacement. This is a disclaimer from the CEO of the company.
Run, bitch, run!
But no,
Oh, good
you know,
Lord.
we don't even have to talk about horror films. You know, we can talk about films from the 80s that were just classic gems of comedy and action that you don't see anymore. Like, one of my all-time favorite movies from the 80s is Stripes with Bill Murray, and you got John Candy in there playing the local goof Moose.
I don't know. I mean, if we're going to go that route, I would have to say Johnny Boy is without a doubt a classic.
I have not seen Johnny Boy. Which one is that one?
That's the one with John Candy with the auto parts factory.
Oh, Tommy Boy.
Yeah, Tommy Boy. Sorry.
That was Chris Farley. That was the 90s, bro.
Oh fuck, dude! I must have drank a little too much of this Mandalorian wine tonight.
Apparently. But John Candy was the man. Great movies came out of the 80s. Uncle Buck is a classic.
Oh, good old Uncle Buck. I tell you what, one of the comedies I want to say grew up on. It was only because my granddad was a dirty old git. Was things like confession films. I don't know if you ever heard of those, but we had like Confessions of a Window Cleaner, Confessions of a Driving Instructor,
Queen Kong. Yeah, I know what they are. They were British sex comedies, and a lot of them were just out there. One of them, as I just mentioned, is a cult classic, Queen Kong, which starts off, as this crazy, you think it's a jungle exploitation film, but it turns out, no, it's a movie being shot within a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And you have, his name's, I want to say it's Rick Isley, who was this British sex symbol who appeared in all of these confession films. Confessions of a Window Cleaner, Confessions of a Hairdresser.
Yep.
And Mark, you can attest to it. The man was not what you would call a sex symbol compared to today.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tastes have changed.
I mean, the man has some teeth that would make you think.
Mind you, he does have a soft voice, I suppose.
But Uncle Buck is is like an all-time classic. I love that. My favorite scene is when the teacher's asking them what they've done this weekend, and the little girl raises her hand, and then she says that her uncle made pancakes on the stove and dried her socks in the microwave. The teacher asks her, why did he dry her socks in the microwave? Her response, because he couldn't get the goddamn dryer to work. Teacher goes, in this great British accent, like Shakespearean performance, grabs a yardstick, points it in the air, and yells, "Blasphemy!" It's just this classic clip of just, you can't do that no more.
What was the one with John Candy in it and Steve Martin?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That was it. I watched that recently as well. That was funny as hell. I'd never seen it before, but that was hilarious.
John Candy was just a comic genius, and any movie you watch him in, you knew you were in for a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something else that you could do in those films in the 80s, where you can say whatever you wanted, you could do whatever you wanted, and people enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Something that we talked about earlier was the social justice in films these days. And they're trying to push for these roles for transgender, or gay character or gay actors and actresses, and I have no problems with that. Some of my favorite actors and directors are gay. Like, I love Clyde Barker. Fucked individual's mind, but an awesome director.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hellraiser, Candyman, classic films.
Yep.
See, that's
And
the thing. The older movies, you could get away with doing so much more because people weren't so offended. Now, if unless you're going out of your way to add all these, check boxes and shit, it's like everybody's going to get offended about everything. So it's like, you know what? I'd rather see movies with real creativity than to see it with this, we want to please everybody kind of mentality.
I agree. And for me, one of the things I have an issue with is when when film studios try to exploit the LGBTQ community, thinking that's what they want for their representation. Like, I don't know if you have it there in the UK, Mark, but they have a channel here called Logo, and it's a channel meant for gay TV shows and cinema and talk shows. Well, the movies they play on there, a lot of them are these over the top, like super attractive, Twilight-esque movies, but they're just throwing over the top gay eroticism in there. And say, "Oh, well, it's a gay horror film. It's a horror film for gay people." And I find that offensive, not just as a fan of cinema and horror, but I find it offensive towards the LGBTQ community because they're making these characters over the top stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's one of the reasons why I won't watch the new Thor movie. I've kind of came out on my channel last week or so, and I refuse to support anything that puts that kind of a unwanted light or unwanted attention, and it's just so blunt and obvious against my community. I fucking hate it. All we've ever wanted was just be fucking accepted, move on. But
lovely Miss Mandy joining us.
Oh, lovely. Are you kidding? You mean the most gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, wonderfully talented Miss Mandy?
You mean the beautiful
destroyer, the destroyer of Klondikes everywhere. Not one Klondike in this entire world is safe from her.
Hey, Miss Mandy.
Abby brought up something, and I'll touch on it in a second, but like, they do these flamboyant, over-the-top representations of these characters, and I find it offensive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making them the stereotype. I don't want to use the word to offend anybody, but it's the twink, or they're making them super flamboyant, or just every nasty stereotype that you see.
Yeah, that would be the best thing to say, is that they take the stereotype from like the 70s and the 80s and they just put it on steroids, and it's so much over the top. I've watched old movies with the flamboyant type, and I'm like, you know what? I know several people that are like that. Mm-hmm. And, I don't really give a damn at that point. It's like, yeah, that's fairly close. It's not everybody in that community, but it's pretty damn close. But then you see what they got today. It's like, yeah, no, the only people that are like that are the attention seekers that, they say they are part of that community, but you can tell that they're doing it just to get the money, the views, and the attention.
Oh, yeah. And another it's a horror film I love. It's a bad B movie. It's Sleepaway Camp. And it came out during the slasher boom. And the movie's known for its ending. I don't care. It's 2023. You've had since the 80s to see it. I'm not giving you a spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
The character Angela turns out to be the killer, who was this shy little mousy girl who's actually not a girl.
Oh, damn it, MCL. You
She's
just ruined it for me.
she's
Jeez,
a
I was gonna watch that
boy.
tomorrow.
She's a boy who was brainwashed into being a girl by his insane aunt. Which I do recommend watching the sequels if you love Bruce Springsteen, because his sister Pamela starred in the sequels, which screws up the timeline.
Good
But
lord.
it's the boss, so what can I do? But again, that's something you can't do today. You can't remake that movie with that ending.
Oh, no, you kidding? You'd be blacklisted in a heartbeat.
Even though you're showing, you know, what could be a positive in that could be like, look, this isn't something to make fun of. Some people are actually dealing with this. Hey, K4, nice to see you, brother.
Okay, far.
But that's a movie you can't do that these days. You cannot remake that film.
No, you kidding? You can't remake almost any classic out there because it would offend too many people.
But Abby brought this up since we're speaking on 80s on horror movies of the 80s. Night of the Comet.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of you familiar with that?
No.
I think I've seen it, but I can't remember. It would be
I think
long
I've
time.
heard the name.
Essentially, a comet flies over our planet, and it turns a bunch of people into zombies, or just kills them off right. So we're stuck with our protagonists, 3 teenagers and 2 small children, who are pretty much trying to fight off these zombies, but they're doing it how they would do it. You know, you've got a cheerleader with a Uzi. They're driving around in like Trans Ams and Monte Carlos. Like, yeah, we're doing this.
So kind of like Zombieland. So like it sounds like Zombieland probably took a lot of their stuff from it.
Essentially, yeah. It's a funny movie, but it's also a great horror film because it deals with a lot of real world stuff of, like, you know, or how do we get acceptance? How do we deal with this? But 80s movies in general, you know, with the slasher boom that we had from the Friday the 13th films, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the later Halloween films, you know, were stuff that was groundbreaking. But then we got great comedies like, you know, Ghostbusters, Stripes, Caddyshack, awesome action movies like Commando, Terminator, which really launched the careers of a lot of, you know, actors and directors now. Afar or Ms. Mandy, would you guys like to join us on the panel? And I would love to get your guys' two cents on this.
Yeah, speaking of panel, I'm going to have to drop down, I think. And I promised Amanda that I would go and chat with her for a bit.
All right.
She's already started, so I should leave you guys to it and catch you all later.
Yeah, because we won't be on much longer because I know, Mando, you've got your streaming starting up too.
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
So,
all right, buttery soft Mark.
I'm
You
gonna leave this
beautiful
name
wank,
on here so that she sees it.
you beautiful wanker with your buttery spotted dick. I see how it is.
I got to share the love. So
Oh, Abby brought up another two great films: Predator and Aliens.
mm-hmm.
Love those
Oh
films.
yeah. Right. I shall catch you guys later.
All
All right,
right,
see you, Mark.
Have a good one.
you too.
Ta-da.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, it, the take on for me for horror and how it's evolved is if you look at what we got in the 30s and 50s, it was more of tales of supernatural and the age of the atomic monster. And then when you get into the 70s, 60s, 70s, you get to the grindhouse era. And then with the 80s, you get the slasher boom. But the 90s, you start getting that take of the psychological, like you like, Mando.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is that up to this generation, each generation of horror was like the horror was based loosely off of what they were afraid of in that time frame. So, like you said, the 30s, 40s,
Hello,
and
everybody.
50s, you had a lot of
Hello.
the atomic horror because everybody's afraid of the nuclear bombs and shit.
It was also that whole thing with the Cold War era as well. And
Yeah,
Um, Albert Einstein is the one who invented the atom bomb. What the hell?
but one of the
Oh, so,
one of the craziest things is with the atomic horror films is we started getting a lot of the creature features. Godzilla, Rodan, Gamera, movies like Tarantula, Black Scorpion, uh, them. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
I can't recall it.
That was the one about the giant man-eating ants.
Oh, okay.
Well, since everybody's got streams going on today, I'm not going to keep everybody much longer. Uh, this is something new. I'm going to try to get these going and do different topics. Maybe if I can do another one soon, we might do something on just random things that we can all talk about. You know,
Yeah, that sounds good, man. I'm open for any time.
stuff like nerd culture. Has it become too mainstream, or uh, society's take on video games? Have they become too violent? Do they corrupt children? Are they murder simulators like Jack Thompson claimed them to be? Yeah, that's one I would really love to do.
Yeah, I'm game for that, man. Sounds interesting.
it's always best not to pretend to be somebody that you're not. It's always best to be you and the best you.
That is so true. Is that from a poet? But I mean, I want to do more stuff like this, just so I can get everyone's opinions. Get a panel going and share our thoughts on stuff like this. Especially with I hate to kind of say it, but the mainstream news always covers what their corporate source wants to cover and kind of
Yeah.
push their agendas. I want to have an actual discussion with people from both sides.
Oh yeah, mainstream media. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, mainstream media. You cannot. Besides, you cannot always believe what they say. And
Well,
plus, every time they give a very bad name to a lot of certain people that doesn't go along with their agenda. It's just ridiculous.
Well, one of the best examples I can give is if you look at something like MSNBC and Fox News. One's very liberal, one's very conservative. So they'll push their narratives.
I choose to be on no side.
I like to be informed and I like to get everybody's opinion and then draw from that my own opinion. I want to hear both sides' evidence. I want to hear both sides' theory, and I will form my own opinion personally from that.
Well, and you know what? My thing is, if you're going to be biased towards one side or the other, like MSNBC or Fox, the difference with the two is at least Fox admits that they're fucking biased.
That is true.
And I've also noticed a lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of times with Fox, if they get something wrong, they will usually come out and admit that they got something wrong. And you don't really see that you don't see that in any of the other medias whatsoever. You know,
That's true.
Perfect example, just real quick, is the 23rd commission for the January 6th riot.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, look at all these, new information, all this new stuff that we're finding out. And then when you actually look at it, and then you look at the other side of it, you realize, okay, yeah, they have all this information, but then it's already been disproven. It's already been considered false, or the testimony that was given is testimony that would never be given in court because it's third party overheard it from a fourth person kind of testimony.
Exactly.
They had to take in consideration. The government just paid how many billions of dollars for the primetime committee stuff, and they paid I think it was like $1 or $2 million just for the producer of it, who happens to have been a producer for all the liberal medias at one point. So it's like, yeah, you know what? Look at the information, yes, but understand that it is extremely biased information. And perfect example is when they say, oh, well, Trump, he called for violence, and it'll play a clip of his speech, and all of a sudden it stops. But literally, if you go 1 to 2 seconds past where they stop, he specifically says, not violently, only with your voices. So it's like, okay, who do I fucking believe? Do I believe you guys who have edited this shit, or should I believe what was actually put on live air that day by pretty much every channel?
Oh, yeah. And for me, like Mark brought up, the BBC is the most political, non-political organization over there. At one point, they were trying to make a law where they can actually travel with vans that can pick up signals. So in case people were trying to illegally watch the BBC and have them prosecuted.
Yeah.
But it like something I would love to do is something from our community of, debunkers or watchdogs or whatever you want to call us. I would love to have a panel of just two auditors. I'll be polite with them, but we know what they are. They're frauders. I will have two frauders and two members of the watchdog or debunkers community, whatever you want to call yourself. And I will ask the questions, and I would love to get everyone's take and their thoughts on this, because that is something I believe everybody would want to watch and want to see.
Well, see, the problem that I've seen with trying to do something with multi viewed people or opposing viewed people is it's so hard, because no matter what, half the audience is going to get pissed off.
And I understand that.
Or half the audience will get offended. And it's like the whole purpose of what you're suggesting, and I love the idea, is that people have to understand you want to hear all the views. One of the people that I've seen actually do it right, and he'll even admit that he is a right-leaning person, he's a libertarian, is Steven Crowder when he does his Change My Minds. I absolutely love it because he specifically looks for people that are not agreeing with him on whatever the topic is, and he'll sit them down, he'll listen to their views, and then he'll say his view. And I say 99% of the times he's able to debunk what they're claiming because they'll cite a news source that they saw, or they'll cite Twitter or Facebook. And then Steven will sit there and sometimes he has this big ass, like 3-inch ring binder, and he'll open up and go, okay, yeah, look, this is the argument that the left always says. Here's the sources where it disproves what they're saying.
And for me, I want to have a discussion with you. That's where I really thrive, is if we can have a discussion, a dialogue, and just talk. Like I would love to do one on, on gaming and how people feel about the baseless claims from gamers, maybe even from parents, on what their takes are. Because I don't know if you guys remember Jack Thompson's crusade against, the Grand Theft Auto games and the game Bully.
Oh, speaking of that, I was just playing that earlier. But I ain't gonna repeat it from the game, that's for sure.
Well, this is something that Jack Thompson did, and it's disgusting on what he did. He would send flowers and cards to the executives of Rockstar Entertainment, Take-Two Entertainment, and stuff like that, who put out these games, to their mothers, to their fathers, after there was a tragedy, like a school shooting or a mass shooting of somewhere, and the perpetrator happened to be a young person who played video games. That is disgusting. But again, you would have to think, well, if the game's rated 17 plus or rated M for mature, and the kid's 14, how's he getting the game? Because the store's not going to sell it to him.
Exactly. All right, I gotta get going. I gotta get set up.
All right, I'm going to end the stream now. I want to thank everyone who stopped by. Mando, thank you for joining us.
Not a problem. I appreciate it.
Artist Shack Union, thank you for joining. I know you weren't here long, but thank you for coming up, and I love getting your.
Oh, no problem. No problem, NCR, anytime.
I want to thank everyone who came out in chat and everyone who's still here. Thank you, and please go to Mando Mike's for Bingo Night?
Yep, we're gonna do First Amendment Frauditor Bingo, and I have improved the cards.
Sounds like fun. Again, thank you guys for coming. Please like, share, and subscribe to Mando Mike's channel. Please like, share, subscribe to mine, Miss Mandy's, KFAR's channels as well. And I will see you all next time.